I feel like you do it because you want Kevin Durant to come to the Knicks. If you want me to be honest, you call him the best player when, like, obviously he's not the best player.
That's not obvious. Hold on, how's that obvious? How is it obvious? Hold on, wait a minute. It could be a debate. How is it obvious that Kevin Durant is not the best player in the world? How's that obvious? The word obvious is what I'm attacking here. How's that obvious?
Well, no problem attacking on the word obvious because people like Kawhi Leonard do more. Kevin Durant's defense. Kevin Durant's defense, number one, is suspect.
Kevin Durant's defense was suspect. Over the last several years, he has been considered an elite defender in the National Basketball Association by every basketball aficionado you have out there. He's 6'11", with a 7'6" wingspan, and has shown a willingness and an ability to defend on an elite level over the last several years, which nobody would deny. What's your second point?
When he was on the Thunder, he didn't play defense at all.
Goodbye. I just said since he arrived at Golden State. You just ignored that and said when he was with the Thunder, which was 3 years ago. Goodbye. I don't have time. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. I don't play that mess. You going to answer. When you call up to the Stephen A. Smith Show, you're going to answer my damn questions. You don't get to create your own narrative. Get your own show and do that. On this show, when I ask you a question, you answer the question or you get a dial tone. It's simple. I'm talking to the listeners who's holding online. I'm talking to the listeners who's going to call in. When I ask you a question on the Stephen A. Smith Show, you answer my damn question. I create the narrative here, not you. Don't give me something about him in OKC when a man is a reigning two-time defending NBA champion and an NBA Finals MVP. Oh, when he was on OKC. I had an afro when he was on OKC. I'm struggling with that now, can't you tell? Time passes. Hell is wrong with these people? I don't play that. I'm telling y'all right now. You're on hold, you're calling up. You don't get to create the narrative on this show. I run this show. You answer my questions, or you will get a dial tone. It's your choice.
Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Coming at you as I love to do every week, the over the airways of ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive's Home Quote Explorer gives you multiple quote options so you can pick what's right for you. See for yourself at Progressive.com. Before I get to the calls, I need to get into what's transpiring in Houston, Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say this. Sometimes you address subjects that don't necessarily make you uncomfortable, and I sincerely hope that Mike D'Antoni, head coach for the Houston Rockets, his agent, Warren Legary, if I remember correctly, whoever it is, I believe it's Legary. He's one of the great agents in this business. Represents a lot of coaches throughout the league. Incredibly connected, obviously. I hope they're listening to this subject, to this segment, rather. Because, ladies and gentlemen, sitting in this chair, you got to be responsible about coming across judge, jury, et cetera, et cetera. You know, when you sit in this chair, understand something, and I don't think people realize it, so let me put this in its proper perspective. I literally have a national television show and a national radio show. Now, obviously, something newsworthy, things that are news relevant and what have you, and of course, from an ethical perspective, you've got to be fair and stuff like that. But I can literally wake up every morning and says, who got on my damn nerves today? Literally. I have the license do that. I mean, in case you didn't know, who got on my damn nerves today? I could do that. But it's strange. And I ain't trying to get too spiritual or anything like that, but, you know, because I'm not the most religious brother in the world, even though I believe in a higher power. I believe in God, you know, and I'm a Christian and proud of it. And I'd like to believe I got a good relationship with Jesus. I'm certainly not the Antichrist. I'm not a choir boy, but I'm not a bad guy. But I will tell you this. It's amazing what has happened to my life with ESPN putting me in this position. It's actually made me feel even more compelled to be fair. Because knowing, you know, as they said in the movie Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. Knowing that I have the latitude, the leeway to just wake up in the morning, who the hell got on my nerves today? It actually has made me softer. I'm ashamed that I have to admit this publicly. I mean, I got my man Lance. I mean, it takes care of all of this stuff over here, looking out for me every day to make sure I'm mic'd up, I'm ready to go. Appreciate you, man, Lance. But here's the thing. I've gotten soft. I've gotten soft because the thought of not being fair actually bothers me. You know, sometimes you got an attitude, you don't feel like being fair. I don't have those feelings anymore. I actually feel compelled to be fair. When I see somebody hurt by what I say, I actually feel guilty. I actually sit at home and go like, I just hear my mama, God rest her wonderful soul. I actually hear my mama in my ear. Did you have to do that, Stephen? Did you have to say it that way? Did that raise you that way, you know? Because my mother was West Indian. You know, with West Indian accents, you know, yeah, everybody. You know? Eddie Murphy, I mean, he got that from somebody. Remember Eddie Murphy years ago in Delirious? What a beautiful woman like you doing crying on the Isle of Love. You know, West Indian accent, I mean, I got that. But I actually feel guilty. I really do. If I'm not fair. That's why I go out of my way to be fair. Why does this have something to do with Mike D'Antoni? Because, ladies and gentlemen, after losing in Game 6 of the Western Conference semifinals to the Houston Rockets, he let a couple of weeks pass, and then suddenly we heard from him about how he's got the energy to coach the next 3 years, and he wants to be the head coach for the Houston Rockets, and he wants an extension. Similar to him wanting an extension in Houston, similar to him wanting an extension in L.A., similar to him wanting an extension in New York. Same old Mike D'Antoni. Ladies and gentlemen, Tillman Fertitta, the owner for the Houston Rockets, said, hell no. Damn that. I'll give you a contract. You got a year to go. We're throwing $5 million and an extra $1 million for every round that you win in the playoffs. Incentive base. Why? The average coach out there is making about $5 million or more per year. You combine that with the incentives, that will elevate you to $9 million, potentially, if you were to win $10 million, if you were to win a championship, and that's how they feel. Now, granted, he could have started at $6 or $7 million and then threw in those incentives. Maybe. But in terms of having an incentive-based contract, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have a problem with Tillman Fertitta. I need to state for the record, I support that man 1,000%. He's an owner. He inherited Chris Paul's, situation. Les Alexander, his predecessor as owner for the Houston Rockets, made that promise to Chris Paul. Tillman Fertitta honored it. Okay, here's what we gonna do. You were promised this. We gonna make sure we compete. We had you gonna be 37 years of age, making $47 million in the last year of your deal. I'ma honor that, even though you've never won a championship, never played in an NBA Finals. Mike D'Antoni's my coach. All right, we gonna roll with that. But now that he's got his feet wet, and he's the owner of this franchise, that he paid $2.2 billion for, if he's of the mindset that, yo, I need you to show me what you got, Mike D'Antoni. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have a problem with that. H-Town, you shouldn't have a problem with it. Let me tell you something about Mike D'Antoni. Mike D'Antoni's a damn good coach. Mike D'Antoni has served to assist in revolutionizing the game of basketball. One could argue there's no appreciation for Steph Curry if it wasn't for what Mike D'Antoni did in Phoenix. Because we all know that the Knicks were going to draft Steph Curry in 2009 with the 8th overall pick, but the Golden State Warriors had the 7th pick, and they picked them, and the Knicks ended up with Jordan Hill, who ain't around no damn more. So we all understand what we missed out on in New York by not having Steph Curry. And we all know what he was doing coming out of Davidson and how fantastic he was. And we all knew that he was going to be one of the great shooters this game has ever seen, although none of us knew he was going to be this damn great. We all knew it. But guess what? One could argue that if it wasn't for what Mike D'Antoni did in Phoenix with Steve Nash and Joe Johnson and Shawn Marion and Mari Stoudemire and the crew, would we ever truly been in a position to truly and fully appreciate what Steph Curry brought to the table? Mike D'Antoni helped revolutionize the game of basketball in the new millennium. And he deserves credit for that. Mike D'Antoni deserves to be a head coach in the NBA. Mike D'Antoni deserves his money. Mike D'Antoni deserves all of those things, except from Houston. I've got no problem with Tillman Fertitta taking this position. The mandate is clear. We are going after the Golden State Warriors. Daryl Morey has stated it. Fertitta stated it. Everybody in H-Town knows it. You had 2 bites at the apple. You used Chris Paul's injury as an excuse for an entire year. The next year comes back. Chris Paul is not the one that goes down. Kevin Durant goes down. So not only are you tied 2-2 against the Golden State Warriors, but Kevin Durant goes down midway through Game 5, third quarter, Game 5. And Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and those boys closed you. And then in the Game 6 closeout game, after holding Steph Curry scoreless, he dropped 33 points on you in the second half. You show no adjustments. You continue to depend exorbitantly upon James Harden. You forgot about Eric Gordon. And you want a contract extension? A contract extension? Nah. I understand in the world that we're living in, known as the NBA, too many player contracts are guaranteed. I understand that could be incredibly unfair, but the reality is that Mike D'Antoni knew exactly what he was signing up for. Mike D'Antoni, with James Harden as your star, with Chris Paul as his supplementary part, Mike D'Antoni did not sign on to be the coach of the Houston Rockets to win regular season games. The objective was the chip. The target was the Golden State Warriors, and he failed, period. Somebody else comes, and they offer Mike D'Antoni that contract. I say that's egregious. The man's won 55% of his games. In Phoenix, he averaged 58 wins a year. He's been doing the job in Phoenix. In terms of regular season wins and what have you, he deserves more respect than that. Give us his money, contract guaranteed to contractual years, and be about your business. But in Houston, the mandate was different. It was clear. He knew what it was. He didn't fulfill his end of the bargain. And to lose in Game 6 like that to the Golden State Warriors was egregious. You can slice it any way you want to. It was egregious. So I say unto you, ladies and gentlemen, especially everybody listening in H-Town, make an argument for Mike D'Antoni anywhere else in the league. But in Houston, the mandate was different. Fertitta is letting you know the mandate is different. And he didn't come through. Now, if he had no time left on his contract, and Fertitta came to him with this kind of deal, It makes sense for Mike D'Antoni to repel against that. That's understandable. Here's the difference. Mike D'Antoni still has 1 year to go and was looking for an extension because he didn't want to go in the last year as a lame duck. Well, guess what? These are the conditions. You didn't want to meet it? Fine. You're willing to come back and coach with 1 year left on your deal? Well, guess what, Mike D'Antoni? You could have done that before asking for the 3-year contract extension. What the hell have you done in Houston, knowing what the mandate was, to ask for a 3-year extension with a year to go after you just flopped in Game 6 of a Western Conference semifinals? How dare you? How dare you? I stand with Tillman Fertitta today. He did the right thing. He did the right thing. He said to D'Antoni, what you did was not good enough. And make no mistake about it, I'm telling you, it's not good enough. You didn't do the job. You lost the Game 6 on our home floor with Jay-Z and Beyonce sitting courtside. You wet the bed. You wet the bed. I mean, damn, it was so bad if Beyonce had jumped up and said, who runs the world? Girls. Who runs the world? Girls. We couldn't even knock her. Because your grown-ass man self didn't get the job done. Period. We all have obligations, ladies and gentlemen. We all have standards. We have a job description. I can't come on First Take or radio every single day, the Stephen A. Smith Show, with what I have conditioned you to expect from me, and suddenly I'm like Shaq. Well, I just want to say, everybody, how you doing, And, we got another show coming up, you'll be all right. Yeah, I'm just saying they just need to pass the ball better, and they just need to shoot the ball better, and that's all there is to it. I can't get away with doing that. You have a job. You knew what it was. And you came up short. H-Town, I support Tillman Fertitta with this particular decision. And so should you. Mike D'Antoni, you want your 3-year contract? Figure out a better way to utilize James Harden and not waste away the best years of his career by running him to death to the point where he's got nothing left. Figure it out with Daryl Morey. Figure it out. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776.